Hi friends, Christy here from Crafty Christy's Creations, and today you're in for a special treat. And you can see I've got some unusual things here for the project we're going to do today. So we are going to do some Easter egg marbling and then also using some stencils. So the things you're going to need to get started, I've used some coffee filters to do my work. You could use paper plates, regular plates, anything to help keep your work surface clean. I've got toothpicks. We're going to need some food coloring, and I'm using whipped cream. Most of the time you hear about marbling and you're using shaving cream, but we are using whipped cream so that you can still eat the eggs when you're done. I've got a spoon here, and then I'm also using the Aura Mask masking stencil vinyl, and then I've got my transfer tape, and then you're going to need a couple of hard-boiled eggs. So once you gather up all those things, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have my vinyl loaded in here. This is the stencil vinyl, and I'm going to be cutting on this end over here. So I've got everything set up on my mat here to be on this side so I know where those cut lines are. And then I'm gonna just use my regular settings, and we're gonna come down here and hit send. Okay, so I've got everything cut out here, and I did not add any boxes around my stencils like I usually do here. You can see, this is a scrap that I've used before. I didn't do that because I thought, I'm going to use the insides. I can use the inside pieces, and then I can also use the outside negative areas. So this is a little bit of an experiment of how this is going to go. And I've got my little coffee filters here. This is more just to help contain the mess. But what I'm going to do is use this also to kind of hold my egg. And I'm going to start with just my zigzags here. Let me get my little tool. And for this, I'm just going to peel up the individual zigzags and lay them down on my egg where I want them. And I realize I should, if you want to do the entire egg, I should have made them longer than they are. But that's okay. It'll do just one side. That is not straight at all. So the other thing to think about, we're doing on a curved surface on these hard-boiled eggs. So if you want things nice and straight, you really need to take the time to stretch out the vinyl. So when you don't use transfer tape, it makes it a little bit easier to stretch out your designs a little bit. These are not going to be perfect, that is for sure. Okay, let's see here. So there's my middle one. So I'm just going to press down the middle and then try to just work my way around. This stencil vinyl doesn't really, it's not as forgiving and doesn't stretch as much as normal vinyl. So, you are going to see the curves. And that is, it's just not going to stretch as well. And then let's go ahead and pick up that third one. Let's see. so there's one. Set that one aside. Let's grab my next one. And then for this one, I've got the little circles here. I think this one might be easier to just cut and then peel up the negative. So let's do that. Actually, let's leave those for last. Let's go ahead and peel up our bunny. And now that I'm looking at it, I think I made it too big. That's okay. I've got my bunny. And again, the curved surface, this might not go very well. Yeah, definitely made him way too big. So I'm just gonna try to work out the creases. And because I'm just using this as like a negative space, you know, because I'm gonna do stuff around it, I'm not overly concerned about the wrinkles. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. I'm just trying to kind of pinch it at the corners so stuff doesn't get underneath it, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. Okay, so there is our Easter bunny on this one. With a little tail cut out. Okay, and then next we've got words, and then we've got the polka dots. So I think at this point I'm just gonna peel everything off of my mat. I like to do a lot of my weeding while things are still on my cut mat. It just helps keep it sturdy and keeps things laid down. So I always find that a lot easier. I will clean that mat later off camera, promise. Okay, let me set this aside. Okay, and now with this, bring in our handy scissors here. And I am gonna cut some of this out. Okay, and now when I do that, because I do want to try to use kind of the negative and the positive of it. So I'm gonna cut a little piece of my transfer tape here. So I've got my clear transfer, and I'm just gonna try to cut this to size here. And now I'm gonna do kind of a reverse weed on this. So I'm gonna put my transfer tape down. And then when I go to peel it up, I want to try to peel I'm just peeling my outside edge, like my big square. And I'm gonna leave my dots on the page. Okay, so now I've got my negative space here, and I'm gonna grab an egg, and I'm gonna apply that to my egg. So when you use the negative, it's going to show up, and now I don't really need the transfer tape. It was more just to help peel up the right pieces. I guess I could have really done it without the transfer, but I'll save that to peel those up next. And then I'm just gonna try to lay this one around gently so So then when we use this one, we're gonna be filling in these holes with the color. And this egg I accidentally dropped, so it's already cracking. So I have to be extra gentle with this one. And like I said, I'm okay with, you know, folding over some of the vinyl. It's not gonna make that big of a deal right now. Okay, so that's not terrible. So there's that one. And then, like I said, we can use these. And then we've got our Happy Easter, which we could also use the positive and the negative space. So I'm gonna cut this one as well. And then with the letters on this one, I think it's gonna be a lot easier. I think it would be easier to use the negative on this one. But that's the fun part, is you can experiment with these, and you know, you can use the cutouts on some, you can use the negative space on other ones to get a different look on your design. And for this one, I think I am going to just use the words. So I'm gonna peel. This is just like your normal weeding where you peel off the extra. So then I could turn around and use this on a design and use that by itself. So, you know, that's something you can save and try to use later. But I'm just gonna weed out the centers here, and then I'll use my transfer tape on this one to pick everything up. Okay, so I guess we'll use this first. I'm going to use the same transfer tape on all of these just because there's no sense in wasting it, and I'm just using it for a quick second. So I'm just going to use my dots on this one. I know, guys, I'm like all over the place. Sorry. I'm just going to use my transfer tape. I'm going to let the transfer tape curl and fold, and then try to keep the actual vinyl pieces nice and flat. And I am just folding these down, pressing. Okay. We'll peel that vinyl off. All right, so now we've got some dots on there. I'll set that one aside. Okay, and now, like I said, I'm going to use the same piece of transfer. I'm just going to stretch it back out. And let's see. I think it'll be pretty close. Okay, so it didn't cover the E completely, so I'm going to peel and get these off my finger. Make them work better. All right, so this E is not completely covered, so I'm going to peel from this end to go to pick things up. And actually, you know, sometimes it's easier to lay your backing down and peel the backing away. And then it grabs everything. All right, and then we will center this on our little egg. And again, curved surface, isn't gonna be the easiest. I think I'm gonna do this one sideways, a little something different. And again, we're just gonna, let the transfer tape curl, and we're just gonna try to keep those stencil letters nice and flat. Okay, and let's peel off that transfer. Okay. Just making sure everything's pressed down here. That looks good. Okay, so then there is our last one. Okay, so now for the really fun part. I'm just gonna set that one aside. Okay, now we are ready for the fun part. I've got my little coffee filter here. I've got my Cool Whip. Let's get this open. So to marble these eggs, I am using a Cool Whip instead of shaving cream because we all know when you use food dye on hard-boiled eggs, sometimes that dye sinks through to the eggs. So I am using Cool Whip so that I can actually eat these eggs later and I don't have to throw them away. So I've just got a little bit of the Cool Whip in there. And then what I'm gonna do is bring in some drops of red. We're gonna do the bunny first. And I'm just gonna put a couple drops in here. And then I'm gonna pull in my toothpick. And we're just gonna try to spread this out. And you can see as you kind of spread things around, you get that fun marbling look. So, you know, depending on how much or how little you spread things around and how much color you use, you're gonna get different effect. So I'm trying to spread this pretty good because I want this to be more pink than red. So that's something else to consider too is, you know, the more color, you're mixing it with a white, and that will also change how this looks. So that looks pretty neat. I like that. And then what I'm gonna do, so, you know, everything that's covered is going to stay the white, and then the background is gonna be this color. So I'm just gonna take my egg and I'm just going to roll it around. So this is a bit of a messy project, but I think it's totally worth it and really fun, and the kids are gonna love doing this. And then you see as you roll, you know, that also changes the color of everything. And then I've just got kind of the top and the bottom, doesn't have any coloring on it. Okay, and then when you're done with that, we can take our toothpick and just wipe it all off, the extra, and you can use it again. Or it might be easier to just use another one of these to set it in, and then just use your finger and wipe it all off. And just kind of Okay, so then that's what it's gonna look like. So let's go ahead and peel this off so you can see what it looks like. And you know what, before we peel that, we really should, let's just color them all first, and then we'll take them to the sink, rinse them off, and then we'll have a better idea what they look like. So, try not to make a huge mess here. Okay, so then we'll put the finished ones, we'll set them over here. All right, so now I can use this again for another one. And yes, you know, these still leak through. So just know, you know, that's why I'm working on a wipeable surface, because, you know, I'm just using a thin, we'll double our coffee filter this time. But, you know, they're meant to seep through. So you're still going to make a bit of a mess. I use the coffee filters because they're cheap for a work surface. So I like them for that reason. But, you know, a paper plate might be a better plan. Okay, so then for this next one, if I wanted to do this as a multicolor, so what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna really mix all of it in one spot. So I might do some green over here. And then some blue. And then we'll do this kind of orangey yellow at the bottom. Okay, and then we'll get a fresh toothpick. And then again, I can just swirl these around. If you want to keep a certain color kind of at a certain place, you know, you can do that. But I'm just gonna try to mix these colors a little bit. You do have to keep in mind, you know, certain colors, if you start mixing them too much, you're gonna end up with more of a mucky brown color. So keep that in mind too. You know, you don't wanna, might not wanna mix colors too much. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my egg just like it is, and I'm just gonna set it right in the middle there and let it squish and get all of those different colors on there. And I'm just gonna fold it around to let it engulf the entire egg. So it's got color all the way around it, and then we'll pinch kind of the top and bottom to put color there too. Okay. And then I'm just gonna let that one sit like that because we are going to take them to the sink. So I'll just put these in and then let them sit. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna use this one again, and we're gonna do Happy Easter. So I'm just, you know, I'm not mixing it anymore, and I'm just gonna roll my egg in it. And then I'm just gonna squish it up so the whole entire thing gets covered. And then we'll set that one aside, and we'll deal with that one later. And then for my polka dots, the other thing you could try, you know, this is kind of just all an experiment. What happens if we just put the Cool Whip right on here, like this, and then just add some dye right to it. Okay, just do a little pattern here. Okay, so that looks a little different. And you know, you can see on the back here all the colors run together. And then, you know, if you want to get really messy, use your finger. I like to just use the toothpick so I don't get quite as messy. And then, you know, you can mix things up a bit. Trying not to mix too much so that I get some different colors, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Okay. And then for our last egg here, let's see. Let's do, I'm gonna try this method again here. We just set it right on top. And you know, I've got color in my fingers, so that's gonna give it some different color already. And then if I just come in here with a couple of drops. And then grab a toothpick. And we can just blend these a little bit. I think you definitely don't get as good of a blend, you know, when you're doing it this way. It just gets a little more mucked up. But, you know, with the 4 colors, I am getting some interesting spots here. So we'll see what this one looks like. And then also, like, doing it while you're holding it, you know, you're not necessarily getting color all the way around the egg. And this was my cracked egg, so I'm kind of okay with that. You know, I can also see now if I start rubbing around the edges, you're getting more of a muddy brown color. So, all right, so I'm gonna go take all of these to the sink and rinse them off, and I'll come back and we'll look at how they turned out. All right, so I've got them kind of all cleaned up here, and let's take a look. So in this one, this is our bunny. I went ahead and peeled off the little sticker there. And this one turned out pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily call it marbled, but you know, definitely has some different colorations to it. So not bad. And then, you know, it's got some smudges from my fingers. So definitely, you know, if you didn't want to smudge everything or you don't want your fingers all colored, I definitely recommend wearing some gloves while you're doing this. And then here's my broken egg. This is the one that I just put a lump on top of it and then just put some, you know, food color right on top of the whipped cream. And, you know, I don't feel like it really soaked in as well. I feel like most of the color around this is what came off of my fingers while I was cleaning it. So I don't think that is the best technique to use. All right, and then here's these 3 here. I did not peel the letters, so I thought I just wiped everything off, and let's see what they look like. So just looking at this, the coloration, this one I kind of mixed it in the bin here, and then rolled it and kind of let it set there for a while. One, I think these colors help to make it you know, show up better, and I think the longer you let it sit, the better you're gonna have color. So let's go ahead and peel off our zigzags and see. So it looks like maybe some water got up under these, so they don't look, they kind of look like messy zigzags. So I'm a bit disappointed with that, but you can still see where the zigzags are, so something different. Okay, so let's check out our little dots here. So I believe this one is another one I rolled up and let it sit. You can see with the way that I mixed everything, you know, we do already have some white spaces on there, and we've got some different colors that mixed, you know, kind of mixed differently. So and then some of these white dots are super white. I think this one would have worked better if I would have got a lot of coloring right on here before I went ahead and, you know, peeled these off. I should have went back through and added some more color, but you can definitely tell where the dots are. It's perfect white. So I think part of why this one maybe turned out better underneath the stickers is because, you know, there's space in between them. We didn't have to worry so much about them not being stuck on perfect. You know, they're smaller pieces. They didn't have to conform to a curve as much. So I think that worked well. So I think, you know, just making sure I had better color coverage over this, and those would have showed up a lot better. Okay, and then for our last one here, this is the one that says Happy Easter. So at first I had just put some over this, and then I did go ahead and roll it some more. You know, it doesn't really have so much of the marbling effect, but it does have some little color striations on it. And then you can see I already pulled the H, and that looked really good. So let's go ahead and finish peeling the letters here. And I think these are working well. So I think just using the stencil, even if you did traditional, you know, dunking of your eggs in food color water, I think just using the stencil would already help a lot. And you know, it looks like some of these letters didn't stick quite as well. You know, again, putting things on a curved surface. These are a little bit bigger, trying to get them all to stick down at the same time. But I think, you know, I think this one actually probably turned out the best. You can really read it. Yeah. So this is probably my favorite one, but you know, I think that one turned out pretty good. I do like all the different colors on this guy. I just wish, you know, we could have actually seen. You can't even really tell what I used on this one. That one looks pretty good. And then we've got this one here with the bunny, which turned out okay too. All right, so that is how to use Cool Whip and food dye to color your Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future how-to videos. If you're interested in purchasing the design used in this video, check out craftychristiescreations.com. Until next time, with love, Crafty Christy.